The purpose of this video is to show how to create this setup. It's just a texture that's driven by one control, and you can animate it to do some animation on the eyes of this character. And it's a very simple setup. I'm going to start with a new scene. Before starting, I want to show you that I have already prepared some images for the eyes. I just did 4 vector images and I save them, I export them to EXR. I have prepared these images in a specific folder and they are in EXR format just so they contain the opacity. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a plane and I'm going to create a material for this plane in the shader window, rendering editors, hypershade, in the hypershade. I'm just gonna click tab and I'm going to write Arnold standard shader, standard surface. I'm going to create, and I am going to create a file to hold the file. Let me apply the material. Just select the object, right click, assign material to selection, and now I'm going to create a file as texture. I have this file texture and I'm going to look for my EXR files. So I know the path. I'm just going to select the first one. I'm going to click open. Once I have clicked open, I can connect the material to the shader or the map to the shader. The first thing I'm going to connect is the out color to the base color, and then I'm going to connect the alpha to the opacity. So the out alpha, R, G, and B, I'm going to plug it into the opacity. I don't know if I already assigned the shader. And now on the viewport I need to press 6 in order to see it. 6 is like pressing this button, which just means display textures. And right now everything is working as expected. I'm going to select the file, and not in the hypershade but in the attribute editor. Notice how in the attribute editor I can see other options that are not displayed here. I'm going to turn on this option that's called Use Image Sequence. After I click this button, the image number is going to turn into something purple, and that means that this is controlled by an expression. It was created, this expression node was created automatically. I can look at it in the node editor. And it's controlling the animation of the eye on the time, based on the time. So right now it is animated on time. So 0, 1, 2, 3, depending the frame, it's going to display that map that I want. But we are going to modify that because we need a control. We are going to do it with a control. So I'm going to create the control. I'm going to start by modifying maybe the shape of this object. This is going to be my control. I'm going to create a group on top of it, and I'm just going to name it I underscore control, and the top group is going to be called reset I. I'm going to select the control and I want to rotate the vertices 90 degrees and maybe align them here. And okay, I think I have there my control. It's ready to go. Don't forget that you can always move the reset. If you're moving it, you're moving the reset, not the control. Anyway, so the values on the control remain at 0. The next thing I'm going to do is I need to edit the expression that is controlling this texture. To do that, I need to open a window that's called Expression Editor that you can find in Windows animation editors, expression editor. The expression editor is this window that can show me all the expressions that are in the scene. I'm going to switch this select filter by expression name. I can click on the expression, and this is the expression that currently is driving the texture. It simply says file1 frame extension equals frame. And this is what I want to modify. Now I want to control it with the translate X or Y, I'm sorry, from the I control. So I'm just going to write here I control dot translate Y. This is going to drive my expression. And after I done this, the expression is going to change, and now the position of this object is going to control the texture. It is controlling already the texture. As you can see, when I go outside of the boundaries, because I have only 3 frames, at some point the texture disappears and this turns into something completely a gray square, right? So I need to limit how far I can move this control. How do I limit that? In the attribute editor, on the transform of the eye control, I can find limit information. And I'm going to turn on the translate limit on Y, and I'm going to say that the minimum value is going to be 0 and the maximum value is going to be 3. Now this object cannot be moved outside the texture. As you can see, now I move it and I cannot move it lower or I cannot move it upper, so it just remains there, right? So we could say that here we already finished or set up. I'm just going to do one last thing. Usually this texture is going to be positioned on a different object, right? Like this one. For example, this is a head maybe, and I want to place the texture around the object. So I will try to place it as close as I can, but at some point I will want to maybe create some projection of this object on top of the surface that's going to be. How can I do that? I'm going to select the plane, then the sphere, and in the rigging menu I'm gonna go with the form that's called shrink wrap. Shrink wrap is going to be creating this shrink wrap on the plane, and I'm going to modify it here, and the projection type that I want is vertex normals. As you can see, it's now projecting on the sphere based on the normals of the plane. I could rig this plane, so maybe it could be rigged, this plane, to be a little bit movable, or maybe I could also stretch it or something like that. There is an offset value here that can push it slightly up. That way we can see the texture and the faces are not coplanar or are not intersecting one another. And as I was saying, you could still animate this plane or scale it or skin it or do something with it, so you can get some animation on it. And that's it. As you can see, now I have the full animation of the eye with this control. This control, it's slightly big and it moves too much maybe, so it's always important to know that the reset object, you can always take it and maybe place it wherever you want, and also scale it a little bit. If I scale it, this is going to modify the space where the arrow is moving, and now looks like a little bit more in scale with the eye, right? So I can just move it here and create this animation. Anyway, so that's it. I hope this was clear and easy. Some problems that you might encounter, maybe it's that in the file, sometimes when you load the file, it will cache and you won't see the animation. So be careful with that. in the hypershade will say. But anyway, if you have questions, let me know.